So as I'm sitting here playing Kickle Cubicle for NES, which I'm feeling like it's an ice-themed game, it'd be a good game for James and I to play on James and Mike Mondays. And it's a puzzle game, kind of like Lolo. I feel like he would like that. Anyway, so I'm having a discussion with the chat about stuff, and we're talking about AVGN stuff, and I was just like, I don't know if we've ever talked about this before. And so when James first made AVGN, James and I used to play games in college, and I was one of his friends that would play NES with him and whatever. We used to play a lot of Life Force, is what we played, and a bunch of Contra and other stuff. Anyway, so James works on his senior film, which is, do I have that here? Which is, I guess he didn't put that on VHS. The Jersey Odyssey's The Blue Hole. That's his senior film. So he works on that for like a year. Then at the end of that, he's like, all right, I want to do something silly, something easier. So he makes a video, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. It's just like his opinion about the game. He hands me a VHS tape. He's like, hey Mike, check this out. I watched it. I was like, oh, I didn't really play that game, but that's cool. I liked it. It was funny and interesting. That was that. Then a year later or something, yeah, that was 2004. So then in 2005, I think it was, James and I had a job together, and then he was over my house hanging out, and he saw that I had like 400 NES games at the time. I've told this story before, but there's a new reason I'm telling the story. He sees that I have Jekyll and Hyde, and he's like, oh, I used to rent this game at Blockbuster Video. Can I borrow it? And I'm like, sure. And he, by the way, he's also like, can I borrow all your Mega Man games? So I give him Mega Man 1 through 6, and he like played through all those. And if you watch the Game Glitches episode, if you see, go back and look at this. You'll find this funny. In the Game Glitches episode, there's a part where he talks about Mega Man 5, and there's a glitch in that. He recorded this at the same time he did Jekyll and Hyde. So if you look at the visual quality, this is going off of memory, I could be wrong, but the quality of the footage from the Mega Man 5, you'll notice, is different than the whole rest of the quality of footage, because we started recording the episodes on DVDs. DVD! So the quality of the Mega Man 5 footage in that video, in the Game Glitches video, was recorded on a VHS tape the same time we did Jekyll and Hyde, I believe. Anyway, so what is the point of this? The point of this, he borrows Jekyll and Hyde, he makes a Jekyll and Hyde video, he shows that to me, hands that to me on a VHS tape. That was that. And I was like, okay, that's funny too. And I was probably one of the only people to see that at that point. So then he's hanging out with me again at some point later, a few months later, and we play the Karate Kid. I'm playing it, I get pissed off at it, and I'm like landing in the holes, all that shit. I hand the controller to James, he plays it, he's like getting hit by the guys, landing in the holes, all that, in the water, you know, on that stage. And he's pissed off at it, he's like, I gotta borrow this. He goes, and now he makes the third video, and that's the Angry Nintendo Nerd Trilogy, and that's the end of Angry Video Game Nerd as we know it, right? But then this happened. So James made a bunch of VHS tapes, and at the time he was making another horror movie called The Deader the Better. You can check that out. This is the original release of it on VHS tape. James made these, and they're just VHS tapes that he would pass around to friends. And you can even see, look, there's me on the back as the car zombie. Oh, aren't I looking beautiful? Oh, let me tell you, I look better here than I do now. But, so yeah, that was that. That was the Deader the Better on VHS tape. So he did that. Then he did this, which was really fucking funny. It's a collection of trailers. Anyway, he was making all these VHS tapes at the time. But then James, before he did the Angry Video Game Nerd, he had made like 100 sort of backyard movies, some longer than others, some comedies, some horrors, just fun stuff, making as a teenager and whatnot, and in college and all this. So to pass around to people, he made all of these Cinemassacre Gold Collection set, which was really funny because it said, "Say yes to VHS." Let's just see James holding up the thing right there, and we used to joke around and say yes to VHS, because at the time DVD was new, and I just said before, I'm like, DVD! James and I used to make fun of DVDs, because DVDs were pretty new, and then James was like, fuck that shit, say yes to VHS. Which even kind of goes into today, how he's doing the rental reviews, and, James loves the video stores and all that. So, say yes to VHS. Anyway, so this is a Cinemassacre Gold Collection. This is a collection called The Misfits, and it has the Death Suit, The Mind That Makes the Matter, and Death Puppy. Check out this picture of James. Isn't that funny? So you guys are gotta remember, before Angry Video Game Nerd, James was a filmmaker, wanted to make movies, all this stuff, right? So then that's that. So that's that one. This one is called Heroes. And here's James dressed up in a beer costume. He was Beer Man. And this one includes Beer Man, Kung Fu Werewolf from Outer Space, which that was one of the first things that James made that he showed me, and I thought that was hilarious. A bunch of his friends got together and it was werewolves, and it was funny. Okay, and then Stoney is on there. Then we have the Epics, which this has Jersey Odysseys, and as you can see, it even says 2004 on there. Same year he did the Simon's Quest video. Then it has Cinemaphobia, which I remember him making when he was in college. See that says 2001 on there? He made that in 2001. That's when I met James. Curse of the Cat Lover's Grave. I remember when he was making that. Cinemassacre 101, which he later made Cinemassacre 300, 200, 300. Anyway, talking about all the movies and things that he had made and stuff like that up to that point. So that's that. That is the Epics. And this image on the front was from Curse of the Cat Lover's Grave, I think, that he had made. And then finally, he releases this one. Again, this was something he passed around to friends. This was called the Quickies. And this was... he did animations and all kind of stuff. James actually did animation, if you guys didn't know that, as well as, everything. So this is like short stuff, and this had Once Upon a Time on a Farm, which I believe this was from it, because James did a little claymation thing in college. And then it has Laser Farm, 1.21 gigawatts. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but that was like a little funny thing he made from Back to the Future. All the monkey cheese things, you guys have all seen the monkey cheese stuff, right? If not, they're on YouTube, but I'll re-upload them or something. The fourth one I think is on the main channel, Monkey Cheese 4. But you guys know monkey cheese, right? It came from the toilet. That was the first thing I was ever in, or first thing James ever made that I was in. First thing technically was us naming it came from Beyond the Toilet. That's the first video we were ever in together. But it came from the Beyond the Toilet. It was really funny. James tells this story. I should really let him tell it at some point. But basically, like, everybody in college is making like these serious kind of like making these serious like films like to show their professors and stuff, and then they get around to James and they're like I can't even. They get around to James and like, one guy's like, I'm making the story of, the relationship of, whatever. And that's the next person's like, I'm making a psychological thriller, all this stuff. And then get around to James, and James James is like, he's like, I'm making a movie about a shit monster, basically, that eats people. And that was, it came from Beyond the Toilet. And he dumped a pile of shit on my head. Not the first time that would happen. Yeah. Anyway, so there's a bunch of other stuff on here. Anyway, getting to the point of this whole thing, the last couple things on here are bad NES games, Simon's Quest, and Jekyll and Hyde, I think spelled wrong, back from 2004. You can see him there on the bottom. So, this was part of a collection he did, and I guess he hadn't done Karate Kid yet, but, or didn't put it on here or something, but, so, yeah, originally he had handed me just plain VHS tapes, but then he put the videos on this, and then they were uploaded to the website, and then from the website I took them and I put them on YouTube, and the channel that you guys watch all the videos on, that is where that all started from. Now, none of this has anything to do with Kickle Cubicle, so let's get back to the game.